Good morning, everyone. Welcome to HERR Lounge. Just kidding. Well,
You're the next contestant on HERR Lounge Podcast.
what's up, guys? Welcome back to another HERR Lounge podcast. This podcast is brought to you by HERR Apparel. So there is new stuff coming, so stay tuned. But meanwhile, guys, go on there, check out all the sales that we are having because we are trying to bring in new merch. So don't forget, you have a promo code, thanks15. And that's just for thanking you for listening. So go on there, check it out, herappareltx.com. And if you haven't heard, we also have a Patreon. So come on over there and join us. We have created an amazing group of women. We just started it, so there's just a few of us. I'm kind of afraid when it starts to grow for some reason because we're so close right now.
Yeah.
You know, like we all kind of pretty much know each other on the Discord. Like we all chit chat. I love that people actually, like the girls are actually going on there to ask for advice. Like, hey, I'm in this situation. What do y'all think about this? I mean, you know, the UFC fights were this weekend. You know, people were like, did y'all watch the fight? We were chatting about the UFC fights, you know. So it was pretty damn cool. I don't know how lit y'all's are, but ours will be super lit for a hot minute on the Discord, and then it dies. It's like everybody's busy.
Waves.
Yeah, it's funny, you know, and then somebody will start. It is just like, bam, it kicks off, and then somebody will stop. And then, you know, so it's really cool to see. So come on over, guys, visit us on Patreon. And that's patreon.com/HERR Lounge Podcast. We'd love for you guys to be a part of this amazing community that we are starting to create and just grow from there, hopefully.
I feel the exact same way because y'all are at like a quarter of what we are. So we have like 100 and something in there. And it's
we have a long way to go.
Yeah. Well, you're a quarter of the way there if you look at it that way, right? But we have, you know, the other hobby channels like gaming and, you know, the meme channel and the general chat channel and stuff. So when your group gets that size, you know, we'll open up other groups where it's just specific things, like things that you really enjoy. Like maybe other people are really into, what do you call it?
Crafting.
Like crafting, yeah. So for example. But yeah, it's wild because now I'm like, man, when we get into 2, 3, 4, 5 plus 100, it's going to be like a crazy party.
Yeah, I can't wait. And maybe we have the HERR Challenge on there right now. So, you know, our fitness challenge is happening in there, which is still pretty cool because...
Did you weigh in this morning?
I'm glad you just reminded me. I still have not.
Okay. Last night, the last text I sent Marisol was like,
sure did.
Let's wake up early, drink our coffee, weigh in, podcast, get the day going, set the mood for the week because it's a busy week. Mm-hmm. And here we are.
So, guys, the things we do for lashes. Let me tell you why we're here early today. If I still sound like a man, this is why.
You don't have something to tell us?
Okay. It's because we are podcasting early today. Normally, I would be getting ready to go work out right now. But I have an eyelash appointment. My eyelash girl could not do Tuesday. She is moving back to Hawaii.
What?
So I don't know what I'm going to do about eyelashes. I'm going to have to find someone new. She's like, I'm on a mission to find you guys someone right now. And I'm like, okay, the last time you said that, my eyelashes were, you know.
Is this the person that's been doing it for the longest?
She's been doing it for the longest. I had someone way before her that she was like, I had her for years. So my mom told me about this girl and she's like, you should really go with her. They're really nice. And then my mom would get hers done. And it was like, oh my God. Okay, Mom. And I was like, okay, I do need to go with her. Then I quit on my original girl and I started going to her and now she's moving. So she's probably been my eyelash girl for the past maybe year and a half. We're going on maybe 2 years. And then JoJo was my eyelash girl for ever. So I think I'm gonna have to go back to JoJo. I'm embarrassed. That's why I said I need to find an eyelash girl because I just like dropped her.
You don't want to go back?
I'm embarrassed because she's probably gonna be like, you fucking bitch. You know what I'm saying?
What is it about that?
I don't know. And that's the problem. I'm such a loyal person when it comes to like somebody that does my nails. Like for example, Roger, the guy that does my nails. If I legit want some fucking badass nails, that will be the only person I go to. Right now, these are my nails and I just get acrylic over it. So like it's an overlay or whatever. So I don't care who does it because you can't fuck that up, right? But I'm so picky and Roger pretty much knows how picky I am. So he knows like this is what she likes. I don't have to go in there and explain all over again. Does that make sense? And usually when you find someone that where you can go in and you don't have to explain things all over again, then you know what I'm saying? It's like you found your person. I drive very far for my eyelash girl. And Rob, you have to know she's good because you know I don't do driving.
How far are we talking here?
No, we're talking about spring driving.
You
I'm
drive
going
to
spring
for your eyelashes?
Yes. That's why I said I have to be done by 11 to get there
take
at
you
12.
5 hours to get there.
Yeah, exactly. So thank you. So yeah, that's how good she is.
I want everybody to hear that she'll drive to Spring for her eyelashes, but she won't move my way for a better community with ease to everything else and access to everything else.
About it. Yeah, we talked about it this weekend, and while Mickey was here, and she just kind of felt like, well, is anybody going to consider me? I'm like, no, that is part of the reason why we haven't moved. You are the reason.
Yeah.
It's because we have to consider that when you're here and you have to go to school, it's really far. And she starts high school next year. So she has to be there at 7:15, which means they can't leave the house probably no later than 6:30 a.m. to make it there by 7:15. If we're anything, this is what why Pete finally laid off of me. Mm-hmm. It's like, because he obviously wants to go suburbs. And I just said, listen, I have to be the one that figures out logistics, not just for Luisa, but also for our other daughter.
Yeah.
Because if we want her to come over, which is just, and it sounds really like, I'm not dogging anybody who just gets their kids on the weekends.
For sure.
Because, you know what I'm saying? But I like having her during the week. You know what I'm saying? And so I feel like we have to consider that for school purposes. So if we move to Sugarland, okay, for her to get to Pearland, we're talking about two different ends of the city.
Yeah.
Okay. They would have to leave probably about 5:50-ish. No.
Let's say 6 on the dot.
6 on the dot. No later than 6 on the dot, so that they can make it there by 7:15. And even then, they're going to be pushing it because, I mean, it's traffic. People are going to work.
I think if you left at 6, it's going to be pretty breezy.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah,
oh, okay.
For sure.
And so when I explained that to Pete, it was finally like, but it was almost like I had to get mad about it, right? Because him and my aunt were both against me. Like, okay, so you're taking consideration all these things, but she's not always going to be, you know, in high school. And I'm like, this is not my forever home. Do y'all understand this? Wait, are we not on the same page, Pete?
We talked about this off the podcast. I just realized we didn't talk about this on the show.
Yeah, I'm like, this is not our forever home, so it doesn't matter. Like for right now, we're okay if we stay like in this area. It's not. I said unless you know something I don't, and this is going to be our forever home. Then okay, then let me really start putting some more like legit thought into this, right? But I also know that Penny and Sunny are probably going to go to private school, so I'm not worried about schools when everybody tries to throw that in my face. You know what I'm saying? It's like, what about their school? Okay, I'm not really worried about it because I think I know where they're going to go to school. Yeah. So I'm not stressed about that. Should they have to go to public school? Okay, I'm just going to be a super duper active parent. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just going to make sure no garbage is enforced. You know what I'm saying? And that's all there is to it. But I guess I'm not really thinking about that because I feel like, I don't know. That's not really my concern. She's starting pre-K. They're coloring, bro. So like, if anything, I feel like she's going to be bored in pre-K, to be honest with you, because I mean, she knows her ABCs. She knows how to count. What else do they teach you in pre-K? How to trace?
I think
how to hold your pencil.
It'll just be like constant social skills, probably.
Yeah, I think that's all it's going to be for her because, I mean, not to toot my own horn, but I mean, I do a pretty good job at home to make it fun for her to where we're actually learning. I mean, Saturday I sat there and I kind of organized her learning stuff, and I was like, this is like someone's classroom. Like, I've got so many learning items. Like, I just feel like, okay, I should probably donate some of these things because it's like when she was little, I didn't want her to have any regular toys. So I would only buy learning toys. Everything, it was a learning toy. I've yet to buy her a doll. Every doll that she owns has been purchased by my mother.
Damn, Sunny's going to be smart as fuck too. She's going to have like a whole encyclopedia of like books and texts and tablets.
So yeah, I didn't do the toys for a long time. Okay, so the toys that I would buy would be like Play-Doh And that's only because I feel that's still learning.
Do you remember getting any kind of learning devices growing up?
Never.
No, right?
Except for encyclopedias. And I think we probably got those by accident because when I was little, my mom used to clean houses, right? And so I think probably someone at the house that she cleaned donated it to her and she brought it home to us.
I remember that similar, but it was like letters of the encyclopedia. So I don't know why they were broken up. I don't know if it was segments or whatever, but it was like you could buy the A through Z for like however many hundreds of dollars. But for whatever reason, we had like S and like Y.
Oh, that's funny. I know what you're talking about. Yes.
And I remember being like probably 7, 8, maybe 9. I was like, why do we only have S and Y of these big ass expensive
But why
books?
were they so expensive?
Exactly. And why?
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. And knowing the situation we were in when I was a child, I was like, we probably shouldn't have bought S and Y anyway. Okay? No one's learning from the S and Y encyclopedia books. We probably could have used that money for some food.
We had it for something that I'm telling you, I know my parents wouldn't have bought it because I remember seeing the infomercial for encyclopedias.
You saw an infomercial for encyclopedias?
Yes, bro, that's how old I am. There was infomercials for encyclopedias. If there's anybody listening who is close to my age, please co-sign me right now.
Do you guys ever wonder what's in the middle?
If you're watching this and on the YouTube, please comment below and tell me you guys remember the encyclopedia fucking commercials.
Have you ever wanted to know what agoraphobia is exactly?
It was crazy. But guys, we kicked it off and I forgot to give y'all today's quote. So let's start it real quick. I'm sorry. It's not really a quote. I think it's more of a kind of like just a reminder, but be firmer by your choices right now. Don't go backwards to habits and situations that weren't helping you evolve. You have to keep reminding yourself why you even decided to move forward. Stay positive about what's to come by being consistent with your change now.
That's kind of building off of last Monday.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Or last week, rather, like Wednesday for the listeners. Have we built some new habits in the last week? Did you talk to yourself in the mirror and like, all right, we're doing this?
I always do that the first thing while I'm brushing my teeth. It's funny. I told you the first thing I always say, yeah. I always the first thing I say is I tell you, I was like, thank you God for another day.
Right.
And then I start with, you're a good mom, you're a good wife. And I go through all the things just to remind me, and then that's pretty much it.
You ever cry when you tell yourself that?
No, not yet. I've not
you
yet.
You don't tell yourself like, because they don't tell you
maybe
enough, you're a good mom.
Maybe it's because it's the same affirmations every morning. But, I mean, Penny does such a good job of telling me that. I was telling Pete the other day, I was like, I had a knot in my throat when I was putting her to bed, and she goes, you're my favorite mom. And I was like, I didn't know you had another mom. I said, you have another mom? She goes, no, you're my favorite mom. I was like, oh, okay. She goes, and you're the best mom ever. Because you know how she has like a little accent when she speaks English? She's been wanting to speak English all the time now.
Nice.
So she tells me that she has to speak English with me and that she's only speaks Spanish with Luisa and my mom. And she's thinking about all the people that only speak Spanish. But she says that with us, she's got to speak English.
Well, can we start watching some fun shows instead of all the same Spanish shows she always watches?
That's because of Sunny now. Now it's Sunny's turn.
Oh, no.
It's hilarious.
No. She's going to have to learn English first and then Spanish.
It's funny. But she's going to learn both at the same time. It's going to be crazy. She's going to be like my sister. She's going to be lucky, you know? I was already speaking English by the time my sister started school. So she learned both at the same time. I
was too, but barely. Because I was 5. We're 5 years apart. So by the time I was 5, she was being born. And it was all Spanish, but I was just starting to learn English really well. So I feel like Sunny's she's gonna go in there and English is gonna catch on because Penny's gonna be speaking really good English by then.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. I feel like she's gonna know both versus Penny only learned one at a time. Penny pretty much did what I did, and we were actually speaking about this last night. Literally, well, guys, remember when we record this, it's Monday, so it's pre-recorded. But we were talking to Pete we were talking, and I said, you know what's so crazy? Because I was listening to her speak Spanish, right? And I said, is that I know for a fact that on my dad's side of the family, Spanish has pretty much died out. Does that make sense? Because as my cousins had kids, they only taught their kids English. They didn't teach them Spanish, right? And so the only people, my grandfather passed away. He was the only other person that didn't speak English. And my grandmother's still living. So she's the only person who you have to speak Spanish to because my aunts and uncles speak English. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, so my cousin's parents speak English. So who do you speak Spanish to if you don't have to Does that make sense?
Yeah, I guess you got to instill it that like it's important to learn for the younger kids. Like, well, I know nobody really speaks it around us, but you need to know it.
So it was very important to me, like super duper important, that my kids know Spanish, because I felt like our culture was going to completely just stop there. It is. On my mom's side of the family, my mom still has family in Mexico City, versus my dad's family. Everybody's here. There's no one here. So if we went to go visit anybody in Mexico City, they're good. Mm-hmm. They're solid. You know what I'm saying? And my mom's family is still over there. My mom's family, the people that are still in Mexico, they're still very traditional. They're still very like, you know, about culture. And so I don't want them to forget about it. You know what I'm saying? Man, okay.
Whoa.
I find it very important, you know, to still continue.
Cleared out the dude in your throat. No, now kidding. You're back to Marisol.
Hey there. Welcome back. And Pete, I was telling Pete about that too. So on my dad's side of the family, at least, my kids are the only ones that know Spanish. As far as like grandkids who had kids. My kids are the only ones that know Spanish.
Yeah, it's super important.
On Pete's side, same thing, because his nieces and nephews don't speak Spanish.
What?
And they're having children, so they don't speak, Spanish either. So our kids, again, are the only ones, with the exception of Mickey. She doesn't speak it, but, you know, she can understand here or there, you know. But they speak it too. So I said, man, my poor kids are going to be the only ones to try to carry this on. So if they decide not to teach Spanish to their children, it's gone.
So then you're just officially, you know, Marisol. You won't be Marisol.
Marisol, exactly.
Forever.
But Penny makes fun of me when she says that. She's like, oh, like when Mickey first heard Marisol, she was in the car with me and I was handling some business. I'm like, hey, hi, this is Marisol. And I look through the rearview mirror and Mickey's going like this. And so I hang up. She goes, who's Marisol? I'm like, that's me. That's how you say my name in English. Yeah. And she's like, oh, it was like it sounded so foreign to her. Like, what is that name? But anyway, we were talking about moving and logistics and doing all that. And so going back to that, it was like, when Pete finally saw like all that I had to figure it out, it was one of those where we got in an argument while finding houses.
Oh, that's fun.
Because everybody was like, my aunt was like, okay, you need to not worry about your babysitter. And, you know, Mickey's important, but you got to think about once they get in high school, they're not worried. You know what I'm saying? Like,
you felt attacked.
Very. And then Pete was like yeah, you know, like, I'll figure out, Mickey, there's no problem getting up that early in the morning. I'm like,
maybe he's going to turn into Jocko. I mean, I've been encouraging him to wake up earlier. If he got up at 5:30, you know, 5 o'clock, he'd be fucking golden. Obviously, he's not going to be doing that a lot when he's on the road.
I'm like, okay, you are going to, I can't wait to hear that complaint every morning. Oh, I just had all this traffic to get here. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, I don't want to hear that, you know? I have to think about all those things, you know? I also have to think about like, all right, so should my mom have to come help on some nights? Now she's having to drive from Cypress to wherever we move. And from there, she's got to go to her shop. And her shop's on 1960 and Jones. So, you know what I'm saying? It's like, I have to consider everybody. And so it was finally when I'm sitting there, I'm like, well, you don't have to like figure these things out for anybody, you know? And then it was finally like the next morning, it was like, thank you for, you know, making sure. I'm like, yeah, it has nothing to do with like.
Yeah, B word. I better give my praise.
No, it's like, it has nothing to do with like, I'm so against the suburbs. It has nothing to do with that. We have to be central. Even if we move to the new Pearland, right, which is the suburbs, which we've looked in there.
Yeah.
It's still, I didn't even know, that's still far from the Pearland where his family lives.
Oh, damn.
I'm like, well, damn, how big is Pearland? Like, it's the newer Pearland, and the newer Pearland is still far from the old Pearland. I'm like, damn.
But you don't even want to be over there anyway in that direction.
Yeah, I don't really like that direction.
No offense if you're listening from that area. It's just kind of like, I don't know. It's like, I don't know. What's the word? Like, it's just bland to me.
Yeah, I don't know there's nothing really out there. See, like, if I moved to Katy, I would have to move to Old Katy. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I like it out there better. It's still not as developed just yet. It's getting there, though. Once they, you know, it's getting there, because where my dad is buried, there was absolutely no houses out there, like nothing. And and there was like this old golf course across the street, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now it's like all new development, and they even purchased some of the cemetery, right? Some parts of the cemetery, and they built houses on there. So I thought that was kind of like, so whoever owned the cemetery cut it off. Speaking of the cemetery, I was pissed. My sister told me that when she was in town, she went to go visit my dad, and now they're making it all strict where you can't, like, before they never cared, because I think in the city they're strict about like what you can put on someone's tombstone or whatever, headstone, and like flowers and all that. And my sister's like, now when you get there, there's like new rules, and it's like, you better remove anything. So they cut we call my dad's neighbor. My dad's neighbor, they cut her big old tree that they planted for her. And we used to get pissed about it because it would grow over my dad's, but it was fine because it would cause shadow. But we'd get pissed because when we would put flowers, no sun would come, and every flower that we planted would die.
Yeah.
And so we'd get pissed. We're like, can this owner just come and cut their damn tree? We're like, our flowers can't grow, you know? And so they cut her, my sister's like, they cut her tree off. And I was like, well, what about the little boy next to dad? I was like, because he was in the military. And he didn't even die in the military. He died in a crazy way. He was helping a friend move, and they flipped, and he ended up in someone's yard.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I was there one day, and his mom came. That's how we were both there chit-chatting. And so the military, so it's crazy because he's got a headstone from the military that I guess if you pass, they automatically maybe give you one. And then he's got a headstone from family that like the mom bought on her own. It's interesting. I don't know.
This is totally, I mean, not off subject, but kind of similar. You ever witness or like just hear an accident happen? Like you don't see it, but you hear it happen.
How loud it sounds?
Yeah, how loud it
crazy?
sounds, right? So this happened on Saturday. I was in the garage. I was getting ready to go get something to eat, I think, for Don and I. And I'm fixing to walk out to my car and have the garage door open. And all of a sudden, you don't hear any screeching of the tires. You just hear honk and then boom, right? Yeah. And it looks like a scene in a movie. I look over like to the direction of the road, and then Dawn opens. She's like, "What the hell was that?" I was like, "I think it was just a car accident." And all you hear though, like it was a busy road, but it went obviously silent immediately after the accident. And all you hear is "fuck" in the distance, and that's all you hear. And then like you hear the like sirens and stuff shortly after that. I was like, "Damn, that's gotta suck."
That's gotta suck. Yeah, I can't imagine. But I've heard them before. You look, especially when we lived on Wheeler, when we lived over there, because it's an intersection. It was never. We'd look out the window and be like, "Oh, there goes that," and because the way it goes, it turns. If you don't know that you can't pull your car all the way up, you will cause an accident. There's this little bitty random street that splits the park and the school, and I think it's made for the school specifically so that buses can go through there. And if you don't pay attention, you'll pull all the way up, and now you're blocking the street over here. So anybody that wants to turn here, you're about to get hit. And so it was always constantly, we'd hear it there when we had that studio there. So that was interesting. But yeah, so there goes that. So I don't know.
The saga of the home buying continues, and listeners are super invested. Like, what is going to happen with this decision? I know,
guys. I just kind of like feel like, oh my God, this is so hard. And I never, like, all these things in consideration. I didn't have to do it when we purchased our first home because we only had Mickey, and we were central, and you know what I'm saying? Like I said, I don't have to worry about school because that's her mom's job. You know what I'm saying? So it was kind of like we were,
outside out of mind.
Yeah, it was just where we want to live. So yeah, it's a lot to go through. But
did you guys go ahead?
Go ahead.
Did you watch Super Bowl or the halftime show?
We did. We actually went to church to watch it, believe it or not.
What?
There's these things happening right now at church. It's called Texas Fun Nights or something. So every Sunday they have something, and you can have they have dinner. And so they played the game, and they were playing it there, and they had James Coney Island catered. We didn't eat it, but you know what I'm saying? They catered it. We wanted to kind of have Valentine's Day since Mickey went back this morning. And obviously Valentine's Day is today. And so we couldn't spend it with her because she goes back home. So we did we had Pete cooked breakfast for everyone. And then he made dinner. like a dinner before we left, and then but we didn't watch it all. Like we just kind of sat there for a little bit. We went to church because we didn't go in the morning because we were going to go at night. But organized Marisol didn't get organized just to see how the events happen there at church. So from 4 to 5, they have like, you can either go to a crafts and an arts and crafts like room, you can go to a poetry room, like they have all these things you can go in there and do for free, right? Like they bring in people that'll teach you. You can even go to the gym and work out. And I was like, Pete, we should have done that. We could have babysitters because the nurseries are open. And so you can do that. And then at 5 the service starts, and then at 6 dinner starts, and then you just sit there and it's just kind of like to mingle and stuff. But I didn't know really how it worked, and so I was like, ugh.
It sounds like Apple Campus, not like a church.
Because it looks like an Apple Campus.
That's crazy.
It's that big. It's really cool. I really like it there. I don't know. Maybe for other people, church doesn't sound like, obviously like, oh God, who wants to go to church? But I don't know what it's like to go to a Catholic church. So I don't know if that's the reason why.
Boring as fuck.
Yeah, I don't know. I went when I was little, but I don't like.
That hasn't changed.
I don't remember like what exactly you do there. So I just remember kneeling and standing.
I was gonna say whatever you remember about sitting, kneeling, and all that, and that's.
And I just remember my aunt getting mad at me for basically asking like, "Why do we have to do this so much?" And she was just like, "That's so disrespectful." She called my mom and basically told her that she needed to teach me about other religions. She's like, but she only knows one religion. Why would I sit there and teach her about other religions if we don't go to other churches? She's there visiting you for the summer, bro. Like,
yeah, it's like, why are you taking offense to that kind of thing? There's an episode of Seinfeld where he needs to talk to the, the pastor, right? And he goes into the confession booth because that's the only place he's at right now during like confession hours.
No, I think they're priest.
Yeah, that's right. There you go. So he goes into the booth and he sits on the little kneeler, and he opens the priest opens the door and he's like, that's to kneel, right? Because Seinfeld's Jerry's Jewish, right? He's like, okay. And then he kneels. And it's just like that little joke there. It is funny, but people would take offense to that. Like,
right now?
Oh, then I'm sure.
Right
and now,
now?
Especially. Like he sat down. He's supposed to kneel,
Yeah, I'm
triggered. I'm not even.
Yeah. So that church is fun. They always have things. They always have things to give back. I feel like, oh my gosh, like, does it have to be every Sunday we got to do something to give back to somebody? I'm like, damn, running out of like, right now it's like donate a new pair of shoes and socks because they're taking them to, I think these are kids in Honduras.
Oh, wow.
I think so. Yeah. And so they'll have that at the entrance, and there you go, and then they'll tell you how many shoes we've raised and how many socks we've raised. And so it's, it's pretty cool. They give back a lot, but I'm always like, I can't give back every Sunday, my G. Dang. Like, hold up.
I got 3 kids.
Hold up. I got 3 kids. Can y'all give back to us? And, but yeah, speaking of kids, y'all, I never talk about pop culture or anything like that, but let's just talk about all that's been going on with Rogan.
Okay.
All that's Kanye. Kanye was trending yesterday, over the Super Bowl. He was first. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah. It was Kanye, then Super Bowl.
What happened?
So Kanye, I guess, went on this rant, like talking about how Kim has his daughter on TikTok. And he's like, that's not going to happen. Like, she's not going to be on there, right? It gets political. That's why it's good.
Let's do it.
Okay.
I need some intro music for Pink Pill at the moment.
Oh, and Pink Pill is getting made. A t-shirt.
Oh,
so
nice.
I sent my inspo. Did I show you the inspo?
You showed me after the show last week. Yeah.
Okay. So
you showed me 3 though.
Yeah. So I sent him that so that he kind of gets some kind of like, so it's not replicating. We don't have exact.
Yeah.
I just said, just kind of like play with it. And then I told you on the back, I wanted to say, take a pink pill.
Okay.
And so, but anyway, so he's saying that Hillary and Ellen pretty much have everything, control the media. Like they've got all this power, right? And so he's saying that Ellen and Hillary have been in Kim's ear for a minute. And that's why a lot of this is happening. You know what I'm saying?
What,
Clinton, Hillary.
And Ellen DeGeneres?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I could see it, but I don't think I've ever heard somebody put those 2 names together.
Yeah, neither had I. And so let me show you. I
don't put anything past Kanye, though.
Kanye went...
Kanye. He went full Kanye.
No, and I hate when people like are kind of like throw him off as crazy, because I don't think he's crazy, right? I think he's like, he's saying something, you know what I'm saying? And people are pissed. Oh, so it's been deleted, a lot of the stuff
that he tweeted, or was
posted. And then he was like saying that like basically like, oh, now I'm crazy because I'm posting constantly on Instagram. Isn't Instagram supposed to be for posting? So why are y'all calling me crazy? Basically, they're throwing him as crazy, but he's saying it's people like Ellen and Hillary who have been in her ear for a hot second, which caused the split of his family. And you know what I'm saying? And so the guy that she's dating is basically who they used to get in, you know what I'm saying, to kind of break their family up. That guy.
That weirdo Pete Davidson?
Yeah, he calls him Skeet.
What's he called, Skeet?
I fucking have no idea, but it took me, like, I didn't understand. I was like, Pete, why does he call him? He's like, I don't know. It took me a while also to get why he calls him that. So I don't know. So because all of a sudden now he's in the new Frozen 3, right?
Pete Davidson?
Yeah.
Oh God.
Exactly. He had this whole thing. Now it's deleted on here.
Was it Instagram or
it was
Twitter?
Instagram? Yeah. But look. So this post was an hour ago. So he deleted everything from yesterday. Now he's posting new ones. I don't know why he doesn't just leave them on. I wonder if he just doesn't know how. Pete's like, he doesn't know how to crop because he always posts things like this, and it's always from where he got the source from. It's like a screenshot. It's hilarious. But it says, I don't have beef with Kim. I love my family. So stop that narrative. I'm not giving up on my family. I bought this coat for Kim before SNL because she's with Pete or whatever.
Right.
I thought it was a particular special. I have faith that we'll be back together. I've never had anything against Daily Mail. I got love for everyone in the media, and I wish you all the happiness in the world. I speak directly to media outlets that same way a ball player speaks to the refs. The world is our court, like a basketball court, and the court of public opinion. We have a public relationship because we are public figures. So to the public and to the press, sometimes people call me crazy, but to be in love is to be crazy about something I am crazy about, my family. Happy Valentine's Day. And it's a picture of Kim and him. And he posted all these tweets. What do you call it? He posted all these tweets yesterday about like Pete Davidson sending him or whatever that guy's name, sends him a message. I don't know. And, here they are. Oh, they are here. My bad. So here he's trending worldwide. Kanye, then Super Bowl, then Rams, then the Bengals.
Mm-hmm.
And then he posted that, he only kept this one, I guess. It says, I didn't wake up and fight for my family to trend over the Super Bowl, but it happened. The Super Bowl brings families together. For everyone married, hold your, he's telling you that. But man, I wanted the one with Ellen, the one who's talking about Ellen. Anyway, he's pissed about Kim having his daughter on TikTok because he knows what's up with TikTok. Right?
Yeah.
Because he is no fool. And so he's pissed about it. He's like, and why is she on there with lipstick anyway? You know what I'm saying? She's like a little girl.
Yeah.
She's 7.
Oh, wow.
I mean, Penny wears lipstick, but we're playing here in the house. She's not finna go out in public. Well, she has one time. And that was a whole fight. It was funny. Or when Pete, if she's wearing lipstick in the house, has Pete told you about this?
No.
And one time he said, can I have a kiss? And she goes, no. She points to her lips that she was wearing lipstick. She couldn't give him a kiss because she was going to mess it up. Yeah.
It's already
3,
starting.
bro. And, so it's crazy because they're dismissing him as crazy, right? Because he's talking because he's talking about all this political shit that people with power tried to have over Kim because Kim is so influential.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so it was like Kim, man, I wish they were still on there, but it was like yesterday he talked about how Hillary and Ellen and how they've got so much pull in the media and that ABC was purchased by somebody, which this is now the reason why ABC owns SNL and SNL, ABC owns Disney and Disney owns SNL. And so that's the only reason why this little boy now has a piece in Frozen. It's like, it's not a coincidence. He's like, hasn't been in shit ever. And all of a sudden he's in, Frozen 3.
Yeah, I saw a commercial of him recently too. I don't know if it was during the Super Bowl, but what the fuck was it for? It was a product. Was it water? Was it alkaline? Some kind of alkaline water? I don't know. It was just random. It's like, You know, you have these, speaking of pop culture, like who were some of the big influential pop culture figures you can remember that you would see in movies and radio and on commercials and all the time? You know, like who were those pop culture? I don't know if Brad Pitt and like that kind of character counts, but like somebody like a Pete Davidson, who's like, he's supposed to be a funny comedian, or like a comedic actor and personality, and he's done MTV stuff. Like, can you think of anybody that was really a pop culture icon?
No.
Nope.
Because I don't think celebrities were really back then. Michael Jordan, and he's not even a comedian, but that's the only person I can think of that was like in a bunch of
I feel like you lived in the height of like celebrity and rock
we
star.
We did, but
and
they did like regular stuff. They weren't like into like. They did like tennis shoes. They did like.
Spokespeople was big.
Yeah, they did milk commercials. They weren't like
pushing a political
other
agenda.
Stuff. Yeah, political agenda. Exactly. Not back then. We were normal then.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know what's happening right now. It's just so confusing. Just like with this whole Rogan thing and with the UFC fight, like when they asked Dana White, like, why didn't Joe Rogan work today? Did you see that? And he just said Joe Rogan just didn't want to work.
Yeah.
And they're like, was there a conflict of schedules? Like, no, that's bullshit. There was no conflict of schedule. There's nothing. He just didn't want to work. I don't know. You'll have to ask Joe Rogan why he didn't want to work.
Yeah.
So I wonder why he didn't want to work. This is the closest one to him.
Yeah. People did. The only response I had was that, for the longest time, he doesn't do international shows. He doesn't do non-pay-per-view shows. He only does.
But this was.
I know it was in Houston. That was the only excuse is like he has been winding down a lot. So maybe he just picks and chooses now. Maybe he wanted to give Bisping the opportunity to commentate. Maybe, who knows, right?
He wasn't as good. Sorry.
I love Michael Bisping. I love when Michael Bisping commentates.
Really?
Yes.
I don't think he has the voice. His voice just doesn't do it for me.
You don't like his English accent? Or are you thinking of was it Dominic Cruz?
Yeah, it was the black guy, the big black guy.
DC?
Mm-hmm. What was he in before? Well, he was a fighter before, right?
He was a heavyweight champ.
Yeah, I was like, why does he look so...
And light heavyweight champ.
Yeah, I was like, why does he look so familiar? I've seen him. Yeah, him.
Yeah, DC's not my favorite, but he's good.
Yeah, I was just like, he's boring.
I don't know, but then pre-fight or after the weigh-ins, they have that conference, and then one of the guys was like, "So, question for Adesanya." He's like, Joe Rogan's been in a lot of controversy, and everybody was like, "Boo, boo." And he's like, "Look, let me, just cut it straight. Joe's my boy, leave him alone," kind of thing.
And he caught him as in.
Joe's my N-word.
Yep.
Or Tim Dillon said, "Joe's my Nutella." All right, be cool, leave the boy alone.
No joke. If I were Joe Rogan, I'd feel like, fuck, am I that? That's why his show is called The Great and Powerful
JRE.
Bro, how did he know that? Did he just like talking about speaking something into existence?
Yeah, the phrase
powerful that's a really hard word to describe yourself.
Well, people would describe him as that, and he just it's like funny to go along with it. So it's crazy that for this long, from the beginning, people powerful Joe Rogan, and then he would start saying powerful Joe Diaz and powerful whoever.
And so,
Tom
but
Segura.
I'm saying though, like even as a joke, is that not crazy? Because it's like he is powerful to where now they want to like smear his name as much as possible, and sadly there's nothing that you can find. And you want to know why? Is because he's such a good person. When you're a good person, you can't, that's all you had was old clips of him saying that. And on top of that, he wasn't calling anybody the N-word. They were just like in context.
Yeah.
So for you to even like try to make that something was kind of like, bro, come on.
And that video had been around for a long time. Somebody made it a long time ago. Yeah, but it would resurface from that group, that left-leaning Midas Touch, I think, or Midas something was the name of the group. It was these three brothers. Did you see that clip of Dave Portnoy, the president of Barstool, had them on a podcast because those three were they're always attacking Barstool Sports, and they were trying to like defame or whatever Dave Portnoy himself as well. And he...
Oh, you sent it to me.
Did I? Okay, did you watch it? So he had recognized some accounts that were very similar to accounts that were attacking him not too long ago, maybe a year or so ago. And he called them out, and then he invited them on to his podcast. Dave Portnoy's got a huge platform. And then in the middle of it, did you see that video where he's like, does anybody here have a fiance named Lexi?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And they're like, well, I saw the extended version where like one of the main guys that was doing most of the talking was like, no one's ever, we've never done anything, blah, blah, like that. I've never said anything disparaging like that. And he's like, well, does anybody here have a fiance named Lexi? And then they kind of like ignored it. And then he was like, they started trying to talk over him. He's like, no, but does anybody have a fiance named Lexi? He's like, well, yeah, so-and-so does. Well, I have definitive proof that so-and-so used this word on that day or whatever. And then you could see the guy in the top left corner. There's 4 of them, right? So you could see him. He's like, oh, fuck. And then the guy that was talking was like, okay, because you have that doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean anything, And it's just like, it was like, they're just shitty people. Like they found a way to.
But I didn't know they actually have someone that works their job is just to listen to Joe Rogan episodes.
That applies to everybody. Did you know that? Like it's like people that infiltrate shows. They'll go to live shows to cause a ruckus. There's people that sign up for Patreons and paywalls just to extract content to write articles on the New York Times or to write articles for some fucking blog or whatever. It happens to everyone.
Well, just like when they did it to Pete in San Antonio.
Yeah, someone went to the show, right?
Yeah. They purposely went to the show to write. It wasn't as political as I thought it was going to be. And, he talks about his family. And,
well, not to mention gave away every fucking bit.
Yeah, every bit. It was just like, what, bitch? Then thanks.
But nobody reads that stuff. So
yeah, so thankfully, yeah. But it was, but it's crazy because I never thought I'd live to see something like this be happening.
Yeah,
like
give me your like full thought on it.
So Marissa, Dawn, and I, we have a text group, right?
Oh,
and yeah, trust me, it gets lit there too.
Chaos.
It's just kind of like sometimes I can't even catch up. Like I'll be doing something, and then it'll be Marissa and Dawn having conversations. I'm like, and I'll go up. I'm like, oh my god, too much just happened. I'm just gonna have to continue from the last couple of texts. I just can't go that far up. But anyway, so we were talking about this because it was like all this craziness happening, like, and it's so scary. The truckers, I mean, if that really starts to happen here, right, they're going to use that tactic to seriously make it seem like this is something, and they're going to make it something else so that people start to think that it's not about freedom. It's not about everything going on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's a scary situation to be in because that's how we depend on them for source of food, of everything, because that's who delivers these things to us. I don't know if you go into the grocery store to shop, right?
I try not to. We try to do as much curbside as possible.
Okay, so we do curbside now. Check that out. So I don't even do the drop off anymore. I used to get it delivered to my house. Mm-hmm. That fee has gone up so much.
Really?
So much. I don't know if it's just my area, but it has gone up so much to now where we have to do curbside. Well,
curbside's still free for the most part.
No, it is free.
Yeah,
but
right?
I'm just saying, I've always had my groceries delivered.
Yeah.
And so
that's what I thought got here when I got here.
No, it was Amazon.
Yeah.
And so it was funny. I was about to order groceries one day, and I told Pete, I was like, we're doing curbside. Like, I'm not paying this fee. This is ridiculous. And he was like, and I was like, you're just picking it up. They put it in your car for you. It's real easy. Because that's what I used to do before.
Yeah.
I discovered the delivery thing, And I was like, well, delivery? Shit, I'll never go back to even curbside. But now with the fee being so high, I'm not paying it. So anyway, the first thing it tells you when you're logging on to purchase things, it says, please bear with us. We have a shortage of items. And so the other day I couldn't get cilantro. Cilantro, I can't get bread, bro. Like I get and on top of that, it's an HEB bread. So,
I mean,
it's getting really interesting. And this is the one thing, Dawn, when she and I went and go have lunch the other day, we briefly talked about this. It's almost like we couldn't help it. We were there to talk about, we were there to have a creative meeting, she and I, and then like for a second, it got a little bit about politics because it's like, if you're not paying attention right now, she's like, you're in trouble. You're in trouble because so many people because we talked about how she never cared about it and I never cared about this. It was like you and Pete would always like, I just don't want to hear about it anymore. Like, I'm done with it. But it's like, if you're not informed right now, because we're such busy people and we're so worried about, everything else. We have family, we have bills, we have anything else that has to do with politics. If you don't pay attention, you know what I'm saying? It just oh, I didn't even know that was happening, or I didn't know that was happening, because you're just not paying. But right now, it's so crucial for you to know.
You know,
it like your life depends on it right now, and it's crazy.
I agree. And what's funny is that I don't ever try to like tell people you gotta go read this or go do that. I just say you should really try to be informed, right? And then for Dawn and you, honestly, well, let's just say about Dawn, and I know she's gonna listen to this and she's gonna be like, I heard you what you said, but she's so it reminds me of when Chingo first started really paying attention. You go so deep into it that you kind of have like this brain shock. You're like, wait a minute, what?
Yeah.
This, that, and the other, and how did I miss this, that, and the other as well. And so she'll bring a lot of stuff up to me, kind of like Shingo brings stuff up to you all the time. And it's like, and I'm going to say this for her and anybody else listening, take it slow. When you start reading and finding out some of the things you thought were right, and then maybe you found out that you were a little bit lied to, or you were misdirected, it's okay. Let's just like read and educate ourselves, make better decisions, maybe judge other people less because they were trying to help you out, and meanwhile you thought they were pieces of shit because X, Y, Z. It's a part of the whole media process. The whole Pete Davidson, Hillary Clinton, and fucking Fallon.
That's like my new thing to look into, because it's crazy. Because for Kanye to trust me, I told Pete, I was like, Kanye does not care.
No, he's got fuck you money.
Yeah, he does not care.
And influence.
So exactly. So he does not care, for one, and two, he was with one of the most influential women that they consider, okay?
Which
has power, right?
You could argue the influence to some people, but it is what it is.
It is what it is. And because he knows, just like he would call out the nannies and the publicists that were in her ear. And he was like, and they're probably in her ear because they make money off of her, so they don't want her to open up her eyes to anything. You know what I'm saying? So I get where that's coming from. You know what I'm saying? But what is that gadget?
It's like a.
Is that a new thing?
Yeah.
Did you just get it today?
No, I've had it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. See, I've never been diagnosed, but I sometimes feel something catches my eye, and I totally changed the subject here. Sorry. Just for those of you who are listening and not watching, Rob's got this little gadget on his desk, and it's a switchboard, but I had never seen it before, so it's crazy.
So when I want to get a bigger table. That's why we have that monitor there. So this is for effects, videos, clips, and all the things we could do at once. But I need more workspace, so we
probably need an L desk.
An L desk would be cool, or just a really long, sturdy desk where we can. Well, we'll figure it out.
Well, it'd be nice if remember when we had my other table in here?
I love that table.
Yeah, everybody talked about it because it's so heavy.
I didn't complain about it.
Anyway,
you and your husband. You and Dad thought about it.
That's what Midnight says. My parents are arguing right now.
Yep.
But anyway, yeah. So like to be living right now, and for you not to really be informed, and for someone to tell me right now, like, you're an exaggerator. No, like I'm really not. Like I'm not exaggerating. Like it's crazy what's happening right now. I never thought I'd live to see anything like this. Like this is something that I would see. I feel like, seriously, whenever you were in elementary school, I remember, because you have to remember, I grew up extremely Mexican because of the fact that my parents were immigrants, or are immigrants where they were. Now she's an American citizen, so I guess we're right. So anyway,
one thing never gonna know is
yeah. So I remember vividly when we learned about slavery, right, in school, and I just remember thinking like, that actually happened. Like they actually had slaves? Like who, why? You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? Because you hear about it and you're just like, whoa, that's crazy. You know what I'm saying? I feel like I don't even know that my child will ever sit in a desk and say, that happened, because a lot of parents are going to virtual learning, to where they're homeschooling their kids because they're tired of this garbage, right? They're not going to write history about this because it's going to be so one-sided.
Yeah, I asked that the other day. I was Chingo and I were talking. I was like, I wonder how history is going to be. I said, like, the time we're living in now is so interesting, and it's so controlled mainly by one side, of the spectrum as far as media goes, and removing books and removing certain things, and like censoring especially, and like keeping certain voices, low or down or eliminated. So I was curious. I was like, I wonder what history is going to be like for our kids when our 5, 6, 7-year-olds are 30, 40, and like, man, what happened during that era of that pandemic in one of the most heightened technological eras of the U.S. history? Well, everybody got locked down. You were forced to get inoculated. You couldn't buy food in some countries if you didn't have these papers. People were being silenced on the internet, which was supposed to be free, and so on and so forth.
Rob, you can't get jobs right now if you're not vaccinated. You're getting let go of your job if you're not vaccinated. When? Ever? Did you ever think to hear that? I'm literally waiting for them to say your child can't start school. And I'm waiting for them to make that one of the vaccinations that you need to be able to, you have to have X amount of vaccines before you start school. I swear that's coming. I feel it.
The jab, the COVID jab?
Yes, for children before they can start, because now they've made it available. So for as little as 6 months.
Yeah, I don't know about that. It may be, but I think that might be a long time in the future, because you're going to need some real studies to mandate it for getting into school. I don't know. Or not. I could be totally
crazy.
Wrong. I could be totally wrong.
I mean, why would it not surprise you with the way things are going right now? It's like these masks for kids. I'm like, how awful. When I told you this, when my mom, we will be out and she'll be like, you need to put a mask on. I always go,
not today.
Don't.
Not today.
I said, don't. I said, I'm not having her grow up wearing a mask and thinking that
it's normal.
It's normal. Exactly. She's not. I said, she's going to look people in the eyes and know, like my waxing girl. Did I tell you the story? I think I did talk about it, where she was like, are you ready? And I'm like, what? I was like, am I ready for, who are you? And she's like, it's me, Christian. Her name's Christian. And I was like, oh, is that what you look like? I only recognized her by her eyes. I had no idea what she looked like, because she's always worn a mask.
So you saw her without a mask?
So I saw her without a mask, and she said, are you ready? I said, I went like this. I'm like, are you my waxing girl? And she's like, yes. I'm like, I had no idea what you look like because you wore a mask. I didn't know what her face looked like. I only knew her eyes. No joke. Seriously.
Now imagine what that does to a kid.
That's where my point, man. See, Rob, that's why. That's exactly where I was going with it. Can you imagine you're making friends with someone and you don't even know what they look like?
Yeah, that's what we're going to find out a whole lot more about in the next 5 to 10 years, about the damage that it did to the little kids and this basically future generation.
I mean, like that video that went viral with the little kids when they told them, as of today, you no longer have to wear masks.
Oh, in Vegas? In Nevada?
Vegas, and they're just like screaming and shouting because it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. These are kids. Childhood trauma.
Yeah, straight up. They're going to have a whole lot of it. There's going to be a lot more Marissas walking around in a couple of years.
Marissa, come get them.
All right, so Chris DiStefano, who, by the way, is substituting for, because you and I always talk about some of the fun podcasts we listen to. So you know Bobby Lee's in rehab?
Is that true?
Yes.
I did not know, because he was on Sex and the City.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he was a podcaster on there.
Oh, my God, that's so funny.
Yeah, he was a podcaster on there. And I don't know what, Pete was the one that said, he's like, I think he's in like rehab. I said, he is? No idea.
Yeah, so he recently, what's the word? What's the phrase? Is it relapse? I guess relapse, right?
Really?
So he'd been completely sober from, booze, weed, the whole thing for however many years it was. And I don't know what it was. I didn't get the whole thing, but I started.
I wonder if it was his pandemic.
Well, him and Lila, his white girlfriend or whatever, they were super, super as lefty as it gets. Like, they had those plastic partitions up until like maybe a month ago or two. Like, for their guests and stuff, the chairs were super far. Like, they were super strict, and especially Lila. She wouldn't let like Bobby go to restaurants or go out. They couldn't go out. Like, they were super, super, super crazy about it, neurotic about it. Finally, they're not wearing masks on the show, or they're not making people like do whatever. Mm-hmm. They took away the plastic partitions. And this was about maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago that I heard somebody talking about it. And then today I was listening to Bad Friends on the way in to town, which, by the way, I haven't driven into 8 a.m. traffic in a long time. Nuts. Fucking insane. But also, I don't have an easy tag thing yet. I could have taken anyway, Marisol doesn't get it. She doesn't understand. She hasn't lived out there in a long time. You wouldn't be doing it either. Trust me.
I hated that traffic
You're
when I
not
lived
coming
in
in.
Katy. Oh my God. It was like just to get to the Beltway because I had to take the Beltway to work.
Bro, and so I was coming in. The southbound lanes was one lane because they're doing construction. One lane. It was dead stopped from the Beltway to downtown if you're going south. So now I'm going to find another way to go back home.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Andrew Santino did a little intro like, hey, everybody, thanks for listening to Bad Friends. Just a little update on Bobby. He's doing well. He's getting better. He's going to be back on the podcast soon. Not a whole lot of detail, but, he's getting the help that he needs. Mm-hmm. So Chris DiStefano has been stepping in as the co-host. Love Chrissy D, right? We had him on the What Did He Said show 3 or 4 years ago. So they're playing a game at the beginning of it, and it's like a rhyming game. And it was like, they pushed the limit. So it was like a rhyming in like Chinese kind of thing. And it was like, whatever it was, I don't know.
Oh, he said Chingo Bling.
He said Chingo Bling,
yeah.
right? So Chingo sends me that little screenshot. And he didn't know who it was. And I was like, yeah, gotta love Chris DiStefano. He's like, oh, that's who it was. Because I guess he hadn't announced who it was. They kind of went into it. So it's hilarious. But that, like, Bobby Lee is a fucking older guy. He's probably in his early 50s, honestly, at this point.
Is he?
Late 40s, early 50s. And if that's what can happen to you during the duration of like a lockdown, like, again, going back to the kids, some of these kids are going to be fucked. Have a lot of trauma. It's going to be very unfortunate.
I mean, it's out of control. I know we've been on here for how long now?
55 minutes exactly.
Okay, so we're about to make an hour.
Yeah.
I know, Marissa's going to give me a hard time. I know you guys think I'm obsessed with this whole transgender world type thing, but it's the non-binary. It has nothing to do with me not. I accept anybody because it is what it is. I really try to understand. I'm really a creature of trying to understand people.
Okay.
Because I feel like everybody has the right to feel, look, and act however the F they want, because we live at one point in the freest country in the world, right? And we were allowed to express ourselves however we wanted. But when someone makes a clip about how cis people don't exist, cis is made up, right? And you're transphobic if you don't date a transgender person, we have a problem. What? Like, yes, these videos were insane. Actually, one was
I'm making notes because I actually have a really crazy story that I wanted to talk to you about this very subject. And we're going to have to save it for the Patreon episode here in the next couple of minutes. So I just want to give you that little teaser there. So if you're not part of the Patreon, it's patreon.com/HERR Lounge podcast.
Get on it. So there was a video basically that went out, and it was this girl. Here it is. Check this out. And I just have to play this because this is the kind of loony stuff we're going into. This is beyond someone wanting to transition because they feel a certain way, right?
So what's this on? What are you playing? TikTok, Instagram?
This is on, this looks like it was a TikTok, yes.
The only reason you don't want to date someone boils down to the fact that they're trans. That's transphobia right there. Let's go over a couple of situations. So if you don't want to date a trans one because you want kids, well, you better be keeping that same attitude with cis women who are infertile or...
No, I don't want to date a trans woman. I'm speaking as a man here. I don't want to date a trans woman because they're not a woman. It has to do with the fact that you're not a biological woman.
Being super straight is the all lives matter of sexualities. It's not a real sexuality.
What?
It literally is just something that's made up to make fun of trans people and to hate on trans people. So, yes, super straights, I don't respect you and I don't respect that sexuality.
Imagine if you turned around and said this to him. I don't respect you and I don't respect your sexuality.
Can you imagine if somebody who was straight did that and said, I tell Pete, I was like, I almost want to get ballsy and make one like opposite of what he's saying and like remix it and say everything opposite just to prove a point. He's like, don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that.
He's like, I'm like, as I said, because I'm tired of it. Like, just stop with this nonsense already.
You're kind of doing it in the sense of the podcast, you know? It's like, and he'll say some shit like that sometimes too. And I'm like, hey, we have lanes, you know? We're not going all out. We're not going PragerU like Amala and her and the PragerU crew. That's what they do.
Yeah.
That is their lane. We're trying to like tiptoe around different things.
I'm like, it needs to be remixed. Just turn it the other way around and just say the opposite of what they're saying, right? And how it's just offensive, period. And that's why we just have to coexist.
come together.
Exactly. It's like we just have to. You know what I'm saying? Just like that damn documentary. About all white people? What is it?
Oh, dude, how have we not talked about this? I hadn't seen it.
You know what? I was tell Pete. I said, I hate that I only podcast once a week. I was like, because there's so many things that happen after I podcast. I'm like, make sure you talk about this. Oh, I sent it to you guys.
You did.
I said, y'all have to talk about this.
You sent it to me after we had finished recording, so we didn't get to it last week. And then he resent it to me to remind me over the weekend. And I was really blown away and shocked. This was a Showtime thing, wasn't it?
I went on I pretty much argued with people on Willie D's post.
What?
Because I put on there, I said, way to go, Showtime. Way to continue to divide us.
Yeah, I don't know who, I know Showtime is a distributor, but who put the money behind this project, you know?
Well, let me tell you this. Not all black people were on board with this documentary based on the comments on Willie D's post. Okay. Because some of them were on there saying like, the same producers that produced this documentary about Bill Cosby and all these white women accusing him of something with no proof, right? Were the same people who made this documentary about white people. And so they're like, I don't trust anybody who's doing something that goes against black men. And now you're going against white people. So it's like, so there was a lot of dispute about that. So check this out. I mean, it was a whole, I had to stop. I'm so proud of myself sometimes because I'm just like, I do such a good job of just like, okay, I'm getting nowhere here. So let me just end this conversation. And because before it was like,
not to mention your blood was boiling.
Yes. Before I'd be like super duper pissed.
And there were some pretty famous people in this trailer that I saw. I mean, wasn't Bun in it?
Bun B. It's a bunch of, a lot of different, just, so check this out. Let me turn this down. It says, and the fact that it says warning, this may trigger white people. As it is, I don't like that Amanda Seales girl. Anyway, she's a joke.
Yeah, I don't really know much about her.
She's a joke. I posted, this was my original post. I said, the world doesn't need any more division. Plenty of that happening already. We need unity, right? Someone responds, you're right. However, unity cannot stand strong when its foundation hovers over discrimination and systemic oppression of some of its pillars. Solve the issue of systemic oppression, inequality, and white supremacy before championing unity. If not unity, we'll never stand tall. I said, but this is not how any of it will be fixed, is what I said. This is going in the opposite direction. This type of documentary shouldn't be done on any type of race. White, black, Hispanic, Asian, etc. In my opinion, this is going backwards. You can't fix something that the vast majority of its beneficiaries aren't aware of its costs on others. The documentary is simply creating the awareness in order for white Americans to be introspective and realize that the system was created to benefit them and no one else.
At that point, I would have told you to walk away.
Okay. Unity cannot exist in an environment full of and surrounded by pretense. Every white person isn't racist, and it's not fair to clump them all in, is what I said.
Okay.
I said systemic and not individuals. Where did I say whites are race? All whites are racist. I said, didn't say you did. I'm telling you, this documentary is boo-boo. Thumbs down. Because not all white people are racist. So we can agree to disagree. This is how you feel, and this is how I feel. This documentary, again, in my opinion, isn't the solution. If you think it is, you have the right to feel as so, just as I have the right to feel this isn't the way to solve the issue. More division isn't the answer. Have a great day. Someone says, don't entertain the slow. Then someone comes on there and says, it's so beyond annoying when white people start whining when POC point out the atrocity committed by white people toward all of us throughout history. And it goes on and it goes on. People of color, and then someone else. People of color endured systemic oppression for centuries. I just can't. I can't with that. I just can't. I'm not saying it didn't exist, right? Racism. But just stop. Stop already with this. Like, just stop. That's all I can say.
Yeah, I want to turn into one of my, not to say that they're always in the right, obviously, but it's hilarious just to be funny here and break it up, the tension a little bit. Ya saben que ya cállate pinche hocico, okay?
Yeah.
Ya
Like,
cállate
it's
pinche
just,
hocico.
I just like, I can't with that. And the fact that that was even allowed to be made as a white person, I would love it if for white people to now start going to protest about this movie. Why aren't y'all doing it? Ain't nobody got time for that. That's why.
No.
How silly is that? For you to call white people certain names, like, I just don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with this documentary at all. I think it's ridiculous. I wish white people would just stand up and say something about it. Like, Akash had a perfect piece on his special about this.
Oh, did you watch it? Bring back a poo?
Like, and I'm going to butcher it probably, so y'all should go watch it yourself. But it said something like, basically it's always the white person's fault for anything.
Yeah. Yeah, he was like, was it the bit where he was like, they said, name one thing, white people can't have. He's like, an opinion.
Yeah.
And then he goes into that. Yeah. So Akash Singh, right? Yeah, Akash Singh. He's Andrew Schultz's co-host, funny comedian. He's got a special on YouTube called Bring Back Apu. One of the reasons I love Akash is because, so he's from Texas. He's from Dallas, right? He's from the Dallas area. And did you listen to the Rogan episode where he's like,
you're not in Texas.
Yeah,
it's faux Texas.
Yeah, right. He goes, also, I identify as Texan, then American, and then whatever his, background is, which is hilarious because I feel like that a lot.
Same.
A lot.
Always.
And it's really weird to people that aren't from here or that moved here from somewhere else or they don't have the same upbringing here of growing up here. It is weird and people make fun of us for it and it is very funny to think that and feel that. But if you grew up here, you would also probably feel like Akash, who then spent a lot of time in New York and then Florida. It's just like, no, I feel like I'm a Texan, then an American.
And even Rogan said, yeah, it's a very unique place. He's like, y'all are very independent. Like it's a whole different, it is.
Yeah.
Texas is different. Like Texas really is different. There's no place like home.
There's no place like home.
On that note, that was a perfect
What a great way.
way.
Oh my, where's the claps? I'm just going to go ahead and clap myself.
Thank you. Thank you guys so much for listening. Again, come join us on the Discord, guys. Join us on Patreon. Again, patreon.com/HERR Lounge Podcast. We'd love for you guys to join the community and get the exclusives, basically. Come join up for the exclusive. So thank you guys for listening. See y'all on Friday.